What's up, guys? This is Ray. Welcome to Asian Filmist, and today we'll be talking about the 2012 Japanese film Bread of Happiness, directed by Mishima Yukiko and starring Harada, Tomoyo, and Oizumi Yo. So the story of Bread of Happiness is about this married couple, Nao and Ria Mizushima, and they run this this cafe slash hotel, if you will, in Hokkaido, in this very rural village. So the way they work, Ria does all the cooking and Nao bakes all the bread. And they serve it to each of the guests who come, and they even have a few guest rooms in their cafe in case guests want to stay overnight, because they live pretty far from basically anything. So they know that some of their guests come from afar to indulge in their cooking. So they have these guest rooms prepared so that way they can crash. And Ria and Nao, I think originally they're not from this particular area in Hokkaido. Like Ria, she is originally from Tokyo, and Nao is from some other part of Hokkaido, but they decide to kind of not escape per se, but to relocate to this rural area just to have peaceful surroundings, so that way Nao can bake the kind of bread he wants to serve to customers. And then the kind of guests that they have, especially the kind of guests that the story focuses on, are guests that aren't local, that they kind of come from far away, and they're all attracted to this cafe for a multitude of reasons. So these characters that visit the cafe, they are the focal points of the movie, and basically the story focuses on how, when they come into the cafe, they are troubled with all sorts of things. It could be heartbreak, it could be a broken home, but they come into the cafe with different backgrounds. But the movie focuses on their experiences with the food and also how the warmth of the Mizushimas changed their lives. So start with the positives of Bread of Happiness. I think first and foremost, the one thing that you notice is the scenery. I mean, this area of Hokkaido, it's near this area called Lake Toya. It's absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely gorgeous, like just full of greenery. There are a lot of hills, just grassy hills, overlooking the lake, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, after all, I think the concept of Bread of Happiness was imagined by the director, because it was if I remember correctly, it was the first of a planned series of movies which are meant to promote the natural beauty of Hokkaido. And this was the first one. I think they made the second one. I'm not sure if they actually have completed a third one, but if I read from somewhere that this was the first in a planned series of movies. And watching this will definitely make you want to get away from the busy cities like Tokyo and just hit up the rural areas of Hokkaido. I mean, not just Hokkaido. I mean, I think any rural spot in Japan is beautiful and deserves visiting. And I like the variety of characters that are featured in this movie, more specifically the supporting characters. You have the stocky postman. Every time he visits the cafe, he's always complimenting Ria how pretty she is, in front of her husband, of course. And then you also get the cookie glassblower that for some reason knows exactly what everyone is talking about, what everyone is thinking about. So like when the couple visits her glassblowing studio, she already knows what they came here for, so she has already on the table waiting for them. It's kind of weird, but it's funny and cute at the same time. I even get the vegetable seller family who just literally pops out kids to their surprise. It's this weird kind of point in the movie that's just, wait, what? But I think it's just fun, and I think it's supposed to be kind of nonsensical. And beyond those characters, I think the characters which were the focus of each story arc, or mini episodes, if you will, were likable. I think they each had very interesting backstories, and I think it was to the point you definitely wanted to know more. And of course, the food. I mean, after all, this is a movie about food. I mean, you look at the title, Bread of Happiness. Any shot that features food or bread definitely makes you happy. I mean, now he bakes bread. They're kind of relative to the season. You can see them collecting like even chestnuts out in the wild and different kinds of seasonal ingredients for the bread. And even Ria, she collects seasonal vegetables, so that way the cooking is relative to whatever season's happening. And we see the story take place across multiple seasons, like in the fall and the winter. And it's fun to see the different kinds of dishes they make in each season. And I'm not sure how much Oizumi Yo is actually making the bread in his movie, at least doing the physical actions, but he's pretty convincing. And the bread that he makes, it looks so appetizing. And they do a lot of close-ups when they're actually breaking the bread. Like you actually see the camera from the character's point of view as they break it, and it looks so crisp on the outside and fluff on the inside. It looks so good. And the bread, more so than just making the audience hungry, it actually serves a greater purpose for the theme of the story, and that theme is companionship. What Nao and Ria do a lot with the guests that visit their cafe is they give just like not one lump of bread per se on the table, but they give a portion of bread to the guests that are meant to be shared with another person. So oftentimes they say, here, take this bread. This is for the two of you. So they break the bread and they share. So it's what they use the bread for is just to connect different characters who may be sitting in the different who may be sitting at the same table, who may not be speaking to each other much, or even to connect people who are sitting on different tables. It's kind of a way to encourage people to talk with each other. And I think that's a pretty interesting twist to the way food is used in this movie. And the music and the atmosphere was all very peaceful. But as far as the negatives are concerned, I don't really like the main characters as much, like Rie and Nao. I thought they were kind of dull. They're kind of boring. Their dialogue, I wasn't feeling it at all. It's there was one particular scene I remember when someone was just asking Nao all these questions about like his kind of intentions, not intentions, but like what he's all about. He's just trying to get to know him, and then all that Nao keeps answering with is like, yeah, yes. And it's just kind of you could expand more, and it's kind of like they never go through any ups and downs with their emotional range as well. They kind of just stay the same flat personality throughout the whole entire story, and it just got kind of boring after a while. I mean, like I mentioned earlier in the positives, the supporting characters were interesting. They're the ones who make the story enjoyable. The main characters, Rie and Nao, don't. And even the way the characters are written, like they set up some things that you would think would be important or crucial in a climax or something in the movie, but they don't ever follow through. For some of these, for example, Nao is talking with Rie, and Nao is like, he's talking about something that like he really wants the most to come true, or something that he wishes for the most. Rie was like, what is it? And Nao was like, it's a secret. And the movie doesn't really reveal what that secret is. And even Rie, she's talking to one guest, and she tells them, all of us, sometimes we have to force our smiles to get through. I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something like that. And you kind of get a hint that, okay, maybe she's not in this place, in this cafe 100% to her will, or rather she's not 100% there. She wants to be somewhere else, but they also don't follow through with that. They kind of, like Rie and Nao, kind of touch base on it a little bit, but they don't ever follow through, and they just kind of forget about it by the end of the story. Also, the pacing, it's a very slow movie. I don't mind slow movies, but this movie takes the cake. I mean, some scenes just drag out, and you just want it to speed up. And which is funny because when it comes to the pacing, this movie is incorporated of 3 mini episodes, if you will, mini story arcs, basically 3 sets of characters that the story focuses on. And the thing is, these story arcs, they're kind of in there for a very short amount of time. I feel like this movie would have worked out much better as a TV drama, where you'd had more than 20 or 30 minutes, like the movie gave them, to really flesh out the story or even the characters and make them likable, because they pop in and out so quickly in the story, these characters, that you don't really build any kind of attachment to them. It's like by the time it gets to a very dramatic part in one character's story, it's like, wait, hold on a minute. I just finished a previous character's story arc. I'm not ready to invest in another character's set of troubles. And each of these story arcs get to a point where you feel it's meant to be dramatic and tear-jerking, but because of how quickly these stories try to develop, it just feels more or less forced down your throat. So overall, what did I think of Bread and Happiness? I thought it was okay. I think the strengths of this story is definitely the scenery and the food and what the food represents, and the weakness is the main characters and the way the characters are written, the amount of time that you get to be with each of the supporting characters as they go through their story arcs. And if you ask me if I recommend this movie to watch, I'd say maybe. I mean, I would say maybe. unless you really just want to watch a feel-good, very whimsical kind of movie. But regardless, this movie will make you want to run to the bakery and get some bread to chow down on. But yes, those are my thoughts on Bread of Happiness. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. And if you really dig my content, please know you can always support Asia Films via Patreon from as little as $1. And yeah, that's about it from me, guys. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you all again in the next video. Take it easy.